Hello everyone and welcome to the first video on my channel. As somebody who graduated college not too long ago, I can look back and freely admit that yes, this time senior year, I honestly had no idea what the heck I was doing, and I'm sure many of you feel like you're kind of in the same boat. Well, you're in luck because today I'm going to be going over some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to applying for jobs, specifically focusing on like resumes, cover letters, and all that jazz. I plan on going with stuff like interviewing, talking to employers, that kind of stuff in another video. So today I'm just going to focus on resumes, cover letters, and all that kind of stuff. Now, before I really get into it, as I mentioned, I myself was a college student not too long ago. I graduated from Michigan State, go green, in May of 2019. And while things have more or less come together for me here in 2021, there are definitely some things that I wish people would have told me back then, or I wish I'd have done differently. So the goal with this video is to just kind of help you feel like you're in that proper mindset and maybe avoid some of the mistakes that I made back then. It's also worth noting that I'm also in a position where I am in charge of a hiring process. Even at 23 years old, I am lucky enough to have gotten the job I have. I'm currently the marketing director for a real estate group in the city that I'm based in, and I oversee a team of 15 interns, which is quite a bit. So not only do I have that fresh perspective of somebody who recently graduated college, but I also have the perspective as an employer, and I plan on kind of talking through those things that stick out to me personally when I'm reviewing applicants. Also, I have been kind of talking, through the perspective, and will continue to do so, talking through the perspective of somebody who's about to graduate college. However, there's a lot of stuff in this video that's just kind of more general advice and can apply to everybody. It's just kind of easier to talk through some of the things that way. So the first thing that you definitely don't want to do is start applying for jobs too late. At the time of recording this video, it is February, and if you do plan on graduating in May and you haven't already started applying for jobs, then you better get on it. I honestly probably didn't start applying for jobs until like middle of March, beginning of April, and I really didn't know what the heck I was going to do after graduation until the week of graduation. And even the job that I did end up getting really wasn't what my dream job was, or what I really wanted to be doing. But that's also just kind of the reality of the situation. You most likely aren't going to get, your dream job right out of college, but you still have plenty of time to build up to that point to where you can make your dreams come true and land that job that you really want. Or if you follow the advice that I talk about in this video, maybe you will have the chance of landing that dream job a lot sooner. One of the most important things you can do as an applicant is just have a all-around kick-ass resume. And I'm speaking purely from an aesthetic standpoint right now. Whenever I'm reviewing an applicant, the resumes that tend to stick out to me are the ones that it's very clear and obvious that they put a lot of effort into creating it. And if you really want your resume to stand out, you can do that simply just by putting in the effort to make it look really nice. Like I said, I'm talking from a purely aesthetic standpoint right now. We'll get into, the content of it, but I did kind of want to address that the overall look of your resume does kind of play an important role in the application process. I think it's pretty obvious that we can agree that this looks a heck of a lot better than this. Now you may be thinking, but Bryson, I know nothing about graphic design. I have no idea how to do that. Well, you're in luck because there's plenty of free options out there to just build super awesome looking resumes. The one that I often recommend and that I hear most people use is Canva. You may or may not be familiar with it. I'll link it in the description below, but Canva is basically just some free online graphic design tool. They offer a ton of templates for a wide variety of things such as Instagram posts, YouTube thumbnails, and like I mentioned, resumes. And it's super user-friendly, super easy to use, and I know a lot of people do use this for their resumes. Now kind of onto the meats and guts and content of your resume. I believe there's about 5 things that every good resume includes. First being your name, it's pretty obvious. And then you should include like a quick bio about who you are, just 2 to 3 sentences, kind of quickly summarizing who you are, what you do, and what you're passionate about. This is kind of your chance to brag about yourself. This is almost like, treat it as like your elevator pitch for who you are. Third, you should cover your educational history. For your educational history, include your most recent and relevant education. If you're currently in college, you really don't need to include where you went to high school or what you graduated from high school with. I'll be completely honest, when I look at a resume, I really only look at their most recent education. I really don't, because if you're in college, it's pretty obvious that you went to high school. And I know a lot of people have very different experiences in the two. And so I always go with the most recent and relevant education that you have. And all you really need to include here is where you went, what you're going for, majors, minors, and your GPA. Fourth, kind of talk about your professional history. Your professional experience really makes up the bulk of your resume. This is really where you start diving into the experience you have. It's basically your chance to be like, this is the experience I have and this is why you should hire me. Now, you should never ever in a million years even think about lying on your resume. If you lie on your resume, you will lose your job like that. However, when it comes to writing this part of your resume, it does not hurt you one bit to get very creative and a little bit more liberal with the verbiage that you use. Operated and maintained use of a Canon C100 cinema camera to help bring to life the collective vision of a group of hardworking Michigan State students as part of our short film capstone production. Sounds a heck of a lot better than I was the camera operator for my fiction film minors capstone project. Both of these statements, while absolutely and completely true, one clearly sounds a lot better and is more eye-catching than the other. Also, when it comes to listing your experience, you might not be able to necessarily fit everything in one page, and that's completely okay. Ideally, your resume should actually just be one single page, and I'm not talking front and back one page, I mean just one single page. So you might have to cut out some stuff when it comes to listing your experience, and that's, like I said, completely okay. So you might have to cut some stuff, but that's, more ideal than having your resume look like a bunch of word vomit. And it's also okay to kind of change up and have different resumes for different situations. I changed my resume a lot depending on the job I was applying for. I wouldn't list experience that wasn't necessarily relevant to what I was applying for. I've even used like 2 different resumes to apply for 2 different jobs at the same place. And now the next section you'll have on your resume is where you'll kind of list the different skills that you have. This is basically just like the stuff you're good at. Like for example, in my line of work, I list like Adobe Photoshop, Premiere Pro, After Effects, all that kind of stuff. But this is also kind of the chance to talk about, more work ethic traits like public speaking, teamwork, organization, and that kind of stuff. This is just another area that you really should be careful not to overdo it. And it's also important to remember, don't put something on there if you're not confident in your abilities to do it. Often you'll see resumes that kind of have like a star rating or maybe like a progress bar. And my rule of thumb is if you were to put a skill on a resume and the progress bar is less than 50%, I wouldn't bother putting it on there. Another quick note about this kind of stuff, I see it on pretty much every resume, and I know a lot of jobs kind of speak about it, but there really is no point in putting any of the Microsoft Office products on there, like Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. There's really no need to put them. It's 2021, nearly everybody knows how to use those. It's almost just common knowledge at this point. Everyone's kind of, expected to know how to use these programs. Maybe only include like Microsoft Excel if you're like a wizard at it and it happens to be relevant to the job that you're applying for. So you've gone ahead, put your resume together, you're really happy with it, you're happy with how it looks, and you're starting the job application process, going through it all, you filled out all the questions, uploaded your resume, and then you arrive at the part that says cover letter optional. Now, you could just skip this part and, I'll be honest, I've skipped that part on plenty of my job applications, most of which I never got a call back or message back from. And let's be real, your resume is already pretty kick-ass. It talks about you, what you've done. Is a cover letter even really that necessary? Well, if you want to land that first interview, then I would go ahead and say then yes, I would 100% write a cover letter. In fact, I even go as far to say that your cover letter is probably way more important than your resume actually is. And I had a ton of college professors tell me the exact same thing. Now, when I'm personally looking through applicants, the ones that always stick out to me are the ones that have cover letters. In fact, I purposely make including a cover letter completely optional. That way, people that do go above and beyond and include a cover letter, I can tell are probably going to be the ones to go above and beyond in the job itself. And yes, as much as you might hate to hear it and as much as you may hate doing it, you should write a new cover letter for every single new job that you apply for. There's really no cover letter template that you can find or create that you're going to be able to just go in and switch out a few words and use everywhere. I mean, you can, but the problem with that is it's going to sound super templatey, and most people are going to be able to tell, okay, this is just some template cover they used, whatever, just ignore it basically. And you definitely don't want that. You don't want to be the applicant that's ignored. But when it does come to writing cover letters, there is kind of a general format or specific things to include. When you're writing your cover letter, you should definitely Include a brief narrative about who you are and what you do. How did you find this job and why exactly did it stick out to you? Why do you want to work for this particular company? And then what do you have to offer? It should be formal, but it should also feel very personable. Like I said, you don't want your cover letter sounding super template-y. And like I mentioned with your resume, it should be a reflection of who you are. You're basically writing a narrative about why you'd be a good fit for this position. So that should hopefully give you a good idea about what to do when starting the application process and really help you get through putting those resumes and cover letters together. But just to kind of give a quick recap of things, if you are a senior planning on graduating in May and you have not started applying for jobs now, you should 100% get on that right now. Your resume and cover letter should be a unique reflection of who you are. Make it stand out, but most importantly, make it you. Don't lie. At no point during any part of the application process, from beginning to end, should you ever lie about anything on a resume, on a cover letter, during an interview. Just don't do it, because they're either A, gonna see right through you, or B, it's gonna come back and bite you in the butt later on, and it's just gonna be no good for anyone. But don't let any lack of experience deter you from applying to a certain position. I've had plenty of interviews for positions that I personally believed I wasn't qualified for, but I went for them anyway. And this includes the job that I currently have. I really didn't expect to get this one that I currently have, but thankfully I was able to win them over with my cool hair and charming personality. But in all seriousness, when it comes to hiring, and this might just be my subjective opinion, but when it comes to the hiring process, to me, it personally doesn't matter if you have all the technical prowess in the world. It really comes down to who you are as a person. I'm interviewing you to see who you are and what you're like and see if you're a good fit for the company. It doesn't matter if you're super good at what you do. If you as a person are not a good fit, you most likely won't get the job. And that's why it's so important through your resume and cover letter to really let who you are shine through. As I've emphasized a lot in this video, your goal is to stand out amongst other applicants, and there's no better way to do that than simply showcasing who you are. You have to have the confidence to say, this is me, this is what I do, and this is why you should hire me. Job hunting's not a fun process, and I know it's especially difficult in today's world. But hopefully this video helped inspire you to maybe make some changes in your application process, or just give you that confidence to be like, this is who I am. I'm gonna go out there and find the job that I want. And if you did like this video, please be sure to show your appreciation by clicking the like button below. If you know of anybody else that could benefit from this video, go ahead, share it with them. Be sure to subscribe for even more amazing content on the way. I plan on doing a lot more videos in this style. I also plan on doing some graphic design tutorials, just showcasing all the stuff that I'm interested in. So please, if you like this video and want to see more, please subscribe. And if you have any questions, video suggestions, or just any feedback at all, please go ahead and leave it in the comments below. I'll see you next time.